to raise your hand and tell me, if you could be a superhero, what superhero would you be and why? Someone give me that. Yes.
Spider-Man.
Why would you be Spider-Man?
Because like flying seems kind of boring. Like once you're out there, but swinging, like active.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
Wonder Woman.
Why would you Wonder Woman?
She's literally a god.
That's exactly who I would be. So I would be Wonder Woman as well, but mostly because she uses her strength and her might to really save the day, right? She's Wonder Woman. Everybody loves Wonder Woman. Everyone loves all the superheroes, but I really like Wonder Woman as well. So today with me, I have some amazing superheroes with me. My name is Asia Cordy.
Nicholas Walker.
Sterling Forsyth.
Ashton Escobedo.
Stephen Fields.
Shrishti Nanda.
And as you can see, we are off duty today. They're off duty, so they're not dressed up in their costumes. We do have their labels there so you can see their character, but we are not here to save the day. We're just going to teach you how to do that. So today we're going to teach you how to train your own team and how to lead with inspiration and positivity. So for today's agenda, we'll start with the 5 ways to do that. Then we'll have an activity, a short video. I'm sorry, we're going to do the video, and then the short activity. And then we're going to have a summary, and then time for questions. So these are the 5 ways to lead with inspiration and positivity. We're going to start off with Iron Man. He's going to teach us how to form your strategy for success. This is very important because in order to save the day, you have to have a strategy to do that, right? And then we're going to take it off with Captain Marvel, who's going to teach us, Captain America, teach us how to train your heroes with confidence. It's very important to be confident as a superhero. If I was a superhero, right, I'm not one, they're the superheroes. If I was to be a superhero and I'm not confident in saving the day, how would you expect me to lead you and save the day, right? So you have to be confident. Then we're going to pass it off to Superman, who's going to show you how to inspire your team to victory. Your team of superheroes, they have to be inspired to save the day. If you're not inspired, you're in the wrong field. You shouldn't be saving the day. So you have to be inspired. Next, we'll have Batman, shift your negativity to positivity. What a perfect hero to teach us that. Everything that Batman has been through, he's a perfect person to tell us how to shift our negativity to positivity. And lastly, my favorite character, we'll have Wonder Woman come up and teach us how to concentrate on your solution. So with all these tips, you will no doubt be able to save the day. So any questions before we get started? No? All right, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Iron Man. He will teach you how to form your strategy for success.
Thanks, Asia. So the first recommendation I want to talk to you guys today about is forming your strategy for success. But first, I want to try and get you guys involved a little bit and kind of make this a little more personal for you. So I was just wondering if, is there anybody who can tell me about a time when a strategy or maybe a lack of strategy resulted in a failure or success in your life? Yes.
When we were setting up times to practice for the last presentation, we set up an academic practice.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good example. So basically, the purpose of this exercise is to help understand what the the importance of forming strategy and the role that it can have on your success. So now I'm going to go into basically I want to talk about the 3 acts of heroism and 3 acts of villainy for this subject when it comes to forming your success, your strategy for your success. So if anybody has seen Iron Man before, you might notice that Tony Stark, he comes off a little bit careless, he's a little bit crazy sometimes, a little bit out there. But in reality, he basically always has a strategy for everything in his life, whether it's running his billion-dollar company or designing the Iron Man suit or out saving the world. There's always a strategy to his success. So the first act of heroism in forming your strategy for success is to foster consistency. It's important to foster stability and reduce uncertainty. When you create stability, you reduce stress. And this is important because when your team is stressed or they're uncertain about the outcome of a situation or they're uncertain about what they're even supposed to be doing, this greatly increases your margin of error and greatly increases your chances of failure. So the next act of heroism is focusing on strengths. It's important to focus on strengths and capabilities when assigning your team roles. When you're trying to defeat a bad guy, you want to make sure that you assign people to the appropriate roles for the mission. For example, say one of your superheroes has telepathic powers. You don't want to assign this person to be doing things like lifting cars or lifting heavy objects or fighting with people. This should assign them to maybe something more on the intel side or the planning of the strategy rather than the execution. And the last act of heroism is to make sure you make unbiased decisions. It's important to keep personal biases out of the equation. Unconscious biases affect our decisions as leaders, and it's important to be aware of this when they happen. For example, when selecting members for your superhero team, make sure you don't select somebody just because you're friends with them or just because you know them or they did something nice to you. You should select a hero for your team based on their skill set, the best person for the job. So now I want to talk to you guys about some of the acts of villainy that will hurt you in forming your strategy for success. The first act of villainy is to avoid responsibility. As a leader, you take credit for the success, but that also means you need to take credit for the failures. You must hold yourself accountable for the success of the team. If there is a failure, rather than looking where the team failed or what the team did wrong, you should start by looking at where your strategy went wrong or what you could have done to your strategy to prevent this from happening. The next act of villainy is to cause constant turmoil. If you're constantly causing chaos with people, they'll start to think individually rather than as a team. People will feel like they need to start protecting themselves and start turning on each other. And finally, if you consistently criticize people, they'll start thinking that they're better off without the team. And then finally, the last act of villainy is to mismanage organizational change. In the book written by, the book named Change the Way You Lead Change, written by David Harold and Donald Fedor, they talk about a recent study that was done on 750 of the world's top CEOs. And basically, they asked them, 65% of the CEOs said that they anticipate making major changes in their organization in the next 2 years. But 80% of them admitted that they have mismanaged, their companies have failed at managing change in the past. So it's important to make sure that your team is prepared for changes. Managing this can be the difference between success and failure. For example, if you're on a mission to defeat a bad guy and maybe more enemies show up than you were expecting and your top superhero gets hurt, you have to be able to adapt and analyze your resources and figure out a way to succeed. So I'm going to move on to, I want to tell you guys a personal story related to some of this content. So I used to work for a small company as an accountant a few years back, and this company decided that they were going to implement a new accounting system. They were going to upgrade to a new accounting system. So they hired a company to come in and install the system and set it up for everybody. But that's pretty much all they did. They didn't train anybody. They didn't walk us through anything. And when you have big change, people tend to reject it. They're hesitant. They don't want to do it. They want to keep, stay in their comfort zone and keep doing the same thing that they're used to doing. So basically, it ended up turning into a big mess. People, they started making errors. We would try to correct the errors, and then we would make errors on top of the errors. And then everything just got really chaotic. People started fighting. We started blaming each other for all the mistakes that we made, until finally the CFO decided to step in, and he came up with a strategy to get us out of this mess. Basically, we put all the people together, we figured out all the issues that we were having, all the tension between everybody, and then he hired another company to come in and train everybody on how to use the system and fix all of our mistakes and get us up and running. So the things that I learned from this were that you need to take responsibility. There needs to be somebody willing to step up and be a leader. The next thing I learned is to encourage change. People get scared when they start thinking about change. Like I said, they want to stay in their comfort zone. And if basically what you want to do is encourage them to be open to it. So if they're not open to changing, then the whole process is going to be more difficult. And finally, avoid causing chaos. As you can see in this example, when you start causing chaos, people start, like I said, thinking more individually rather than as a team. They start turning on each other and protecting themselves rather than anybody else in their team. So now that you know how to form your strategy for success, I'm going to pass it off to Sterling on how to train your team with confidence.
Hey everybody. So yeah, forming a strategy first early is a really good step to leading with positivity and inspiration. But the next thing you need to do is be sure you're training with confidence. So does anybody have a personal experience where they've had an unconfident or a really confident leader they'd like to share with the rest of us?
Our old head of salesperson was super put together, suit, hair slicked back, and was always to the nine.
Yeah.
But he was fired 2 months later because he never actually did work. He just looked like he did.
Oh. That's one way, I guess. So he wasn't exactly confident, but that his appearance was confident.
Yeah,
so,
he talked very clearly.
Yeah.
Made everyone feel welcomed and everything, but apparently just behind the scenes.
Follow through. Yeah. Okay. So it's good to know these characteristics about confidence and leadership. So next we're going to go through some of the heroic actions and villainous actions and ways that you should do and do not train with confidence. So first, our heroic action is you need to command everyone's attention. You want everyone's focused on you, and so that's how they can know you're confident what you're talking about. And then next, we're going to say you need to stand tall and plant your feet. This is something obviously we've talked about before and Jorge's talked about before. If you have good posture, you're obviously projecting a self-perception of your own confidence. And according to Arnett and Pettijohn's research in the effects of posture and self-confidence, the better your posture is, the higher you're going to be able to project yourself and affect others' perception of you and the message that you're coming across. Lastly, to train with confidence, you need to pace yourself and be able to make sure your message is slowly coming across so everyone can make sure they get the message correctly. And so now, some of the villainous actions that we want to do that would hinder you from training with confidence would be to surrender to your insecurities. So before you're getting ready to train everyone, if you're too scared to go through certain things, if you're afraid of confrontation, that's surrendering to your insecurities. Next, avoiding audience eye contact. How are you going to trust your leader if they can't even look you straight in the eye? That's kind of a big no-no and a giant sign that they're not ready and they're not prepared. So definitely make sure you keep eye contact when you're training. And so last, villains will rush through their delivery. So they're going to ramble, they're going to rant, and they're going to probably have a long monologue that's not going to make any sense. They're going to rush through it and try to get away. It's evading and definitely not something good when you're training. So next, a personal story of a time when I had a really confident leader in a situation that I was not confident in myself was junior year. I had an internship with an external auditing team, and there's lots of stereotypes about auditors. There's worrying about being the enemy to clients, trying to keep that professional skepticism, and I was really worried about that. And I had a really great senior manager instructor at the time, and he gave me step-by-step instructions how to deal with the client, how to make sure you present yourself correctly and professionally, and that really, it stuck with me, and it's been something I carry with in the rest of my career as of today. And so from that, I learned, make sure the lessons I learned were to clarify your instructions early, because that's definitely, it sets the roadmap for what you need to do. Next, he drew from prior experiences to show me how the best way to be the most effective auditing, dealing with clients, and that really, really helped me out. And then next, he led by example. And so by leading by example, it just gave me a reference to use. So next, we're gonna go ahead and have Ashton show us how to inspire. So, Ashton, thanks guys.
Thank you, Sterling, for that introduction. Now, it's time for your favorite thing in a presentation, audience involvement. Let me ask you, when have you ever been inspired? When have you ever had someone just really step up and lead you? Yes, sir.
Really, this has been kind of a lifelong inspiration. Really, my mom, I'd say, has inspired me throughout my life, her perseverance and determination. You know, we're first-gen immigrants from Liberia, a war-torn country, and so we won a green card lottery. And she came over, 2 boys, single mother. We landed in Minnesota in the dead of November. So going from a really tropical country to cold, and she worked really hard. Got herself through college, and to this day, my mom always inspires me to continue working hard, take your goals.
That's good. That's a good story. That's perfect. Because this leads to why I asked this. His mom was a pillar of support for his family. For everyone, we have a personal hero in our lives. It could be someone that's always been there, like a mother, a father. It could have been something small, maybe like a really good boss you had. So many people are just do little things, and that's what makes them leaders to us. But sometimes they're truly inspirational, like a Superman for us. Now let's see what it takes to look like that. Now you don't all have to wait for a superhero opportunity to rush into a building to be your hero time. But you can still have some heroic actions that help you with this. First off, you need to find an opportunity to lead. Anyone can say that they're a leader, but you need to actually do the action to do it. It could be a small project you're overseeing, maybe an initiative that you're really wanting to do in the workplace, something that you think that you can step up and be a leader to people. Something that you feel really strongly about or feel motivated about can help you, motivate you to work harder on this project. And that leads us to the next part, where a heroic leader will help foster positive ideas or discussion with the group about what they want to do. Of course, not everyone's going to have the same wants, beliefs about what they want to work on a project, but knowing, being able to talk with the group to see what everyone exactly feels and what they believe will help them feel more united in a front on working on an initiative. And a hero will also understand that not every opportunity needs a new leader. Sometimes we'll already be leaders in place, people who are already doing a very good job of leading a group. So all you would really have to do is just be a good part of that group. Help the leader whenever you think you can. Assist them in their initiatives and any little action they're doing. That's what you can help be as a hero in that situation. Now, for every hero, there's usually a villain. So let's talk about what they would do. Firstly, a villain would usually just completely talk and just overwhelm anyone with just information with no context whatsoever. For them, it's just, let's get this information, let's get this done. I don't need to do any more here. My job's done. It doesn't matter how much it helps you. Nextly, a villain will try to refuse to take a position. So if you have a position or opinion about something, you will probably feel very strongly motivated about it. And so you want to work on it and work with other people about it. But for a villain, if it doesn't affect them, why should they care? Why should they take a position on this? Lastly, a truly villainous person will undermine good leadership. If there's already a leader there, they will do anything to try and either make the leader look bad, make them seem like a better leader. Those would be not a good asset to the workplace. If there's anything that's already not a leader there, they'll try and take it for themselves, whether it helps the group or not. Now, we've talked for a bit. It's like we're pretty connected. Now we go to my personal story here. All right. No matter where we come from, heroes are always around us. For some, it's maybe in the movies we watch or on the TV. Maybe it's in the comic books they would buy every now and then. For others, they come from the community. And for me, it's the latter. My father is a paramedic firefighter for the city of Dallas. And so when I would go around with them every now and then in the station, stay overnight. It's a 24-hour shift, so I'd be there for a while, could see how it was. But I remember when I was 10, there was a large apartment complex fire a few miles from the station. So obviously they got the whole crew and they set out to it. But by the time that they got there, it was a fully developed stage for a fire. Multiple buildings in the complex were completely engulfed in flames. Of course, it took them several hours to go in there, fight the fire, but by the time they were done, many of the buildings were completely destroyed to ash. Or not to ash, but it's very, very bad. And so, no one, of course, there was no deaths, luckily, very luckily. But many of these families had no home. They lost everything in that fire, and they had to walk away just with nothing on their backs. And so this, of course, really destroyed the morale of the crew. Everyone was like, yeah, we did our job, but did we really do the best? So whenever they got back to the station, the captain was also there and knew how much the team wasn't really feeling. And so we got them all together, and I remember him telling them, the fire may have beat them, but it didn't win. Those people, those families still walked away with their lives. And at the end, that's really what counts in the end. They're meant to save lives. And I remember finally he's telling them that he was proud of them. And this experience really stood out for me, as a 10-year-old. Very, didn't really see it now, or see it then, but I see it now. He really, initially he assessed the situation. He saw that, okay, there's a giant fire here. These men are completely exhausted, hours of work, mentally, emotionally drained. And so while to all those families there and people in the city, they may have been heroes, But to them, they weren't feeling good. They didn't feel like heroes. And so he tried his best to lead them there. He gave them, he first reinforced their efforts, that they did the best they could. Yes, the fire was bad, but they did their best job to minimize the effort. They did the best they could. And lastly, he gave emotional support. He let them know that he was proud, that no matter what happened there, that he was there for them, and that they were a team together. And with that, now I'm going to show you how to, or we'll show you how to change from negativity to positivity with Stephen now.
Thank you, Ashton, for explaining how important Inspire Team is. Let me first say, hello everyone, I am the Batman. My question to everyone is, what are some ways you turn a negative situation into a positive situation? Melissa?
Focus on the solution.
Melissa said to focus on the solution. By focusing on the solution, you're actually ignoring the negativity of what's going on and focusing on what needs to be taken care of at the present time. Who has another solution, has another idea? Okay, Tang?
I usually I try to ignore the negativity and focus on the better side.
Okay. Tang mentioned that by ignoring the negativity and focusing on the better side, you're putting all that behind. You're putting, all right, this has gone bad, my tire's blown out, what can I do now to fix that tire? Anybody else?
Find the root of the negativity, try and see what you can do to fix it.
Will said by finding the root of the negativity, we're going to be able to find out what's the problem, how can we fix it, and at the simplest way. Thank you, Will. I appreciate all y'all for y'all's time and y'all's effort. Now, the reason I asked my question is that there are different methods and motivations to turn a negative situation into a positive one. One of my favorite comic book characters is the Batman. Because of his determination and his ability to find a positive out of negative. Batman has experienced more loss and untold suffering due to the loss of his parents as well as loved ones, or as well as comrades. He maintains that hope that life will get better for him as well as the city of Gotham as long as he keeps trying toward that better future. Now, heroes like Batman have maintained their ability to keep a level head. These attributes show that how they can maintain that level head as well as keep going to their goal. Heroes do maintain a positive relationships with whoever they whoever they work with. Now, maintaining that positive relationship with who they work with is very important because, and honestly, it disrupts teamwork, cohesion, if they're continuing to bicker and argue amongst themselves. An example of this is when, actually this year, is when a friend of mine actually got promoted at my current job. They weren't really doing that well because they were making a lot of rookie mistakes. It wasn't helping either that I was making mistakes of my own. But because we sat down together, we had some communication, and we had some coaching sessions, we had our relationship, our professional relationship as well as our personal relationship has improved. Heroes do evaluate all possible solutions to a given item or a given problem. By doing that, you're looking at every possible avenue of choice. As we go on there, by assessing the situation, we're looking to improve your odds of completing or increasing your chance of success. Work leaders do create a productive atmosphere for everyone to work with. As one of our previous presentations mentioned, by having everyone fighting and bickering with themselves regarding that their goals, maybe become selfish and not communicate with them of what each other is willing to provide them to complete their objective. Now, when thinking of villainous actions, some of Batman's greatest foes have succumbed to these traits. I encourage you all to learn from these. Villain use negative connotations instead of speaking in a more positive light. We've all been part of groups and such where someone's like a Debbie Downer, just saying, well, we're doing this, I'm doing that, I don't like this, this is just a shiitake plan. Another thing that villains do is they scheme for selfish purposes. We've all been part of groups and all been part of teams where a person is wanting that limelight, is wanting all that focus on them, is they don't want to share the teamwork or the credit or the faults with anyone. Villains will also sabotage whatever team unity if they feel betrayed or if they didn't feel they got their fair share in the project. To give an example of turning a negative situation into a positive one, as it was spring 2004, I'm a sophomore in high school. I'm entering my third period in high school for English, and I walk in and I see the normal teacher's not there. We're all confused. We're a little like, what's going on here? So he sits us down and says, I'm sorry, the professor is no longer teaching at Ch3&4 High School. He's been released. Obviously, we're angry, we're confused, we loved him as a teacher, but life had to go on. The professor had literally had no idea about our skills, he had no idea who we were, he had no idea where the class clowns were, class leaders, but just getting communication with his professors and teachers and his own skills as a teacher, he was able to finish the semester out and teach us what needed to be taught. I remember thinking when he first started, I was like, man, this guy's gonna fall on his face. Because he was given an impossible task. But at the end of the semester, I remember walking up to him, I remember shaking his hand and I said, hey, you did an amazing job. You were thrown into like one of the worst situations, but you did the best and you got us through this class. And I thank you. Now, I'm turning to a negative situation. I want to thank y'all for listening to me. And now I'm going to present Shrisni. She will now present on how to concentrate on a solution.
Good evening, everyone. So, Wonder Woman to your rescue. Okay, we can win this late night class, okay, together as a team. Before jumping into the topic of concentrating on your solution, I would like to ask you a question. Have anybody have some kind of obstacles hindering your personal and professional life? Okay.
Cultural differences and accent and network.
Accent and network.
Yeah.
Okay, so the answer was accent and network. Okay. So we all have some or the other kind of obstacles. Either it can be leading in personal life or professional life. So I would like to tell you about some kind of actions which you can take to be a hero rather than being a villain. Okay. So first is consider every win to be important. By practicing, like he said, accent and network. By practicing a little bit each day, being in an accent, this can lead to you. This can lead you to a great victory, where you can be comfortable with your accent. You can make great networks, and finally be on a position where you want to be. Second, prepare for the worst. Always have alternative plans. Third, analyze all the risks. By analyzing all the risk, you can self-assess yourself and you will be able to know where you have to work a little bit more to focus on your victory and to succeed. There are some actions which we take, we do not realize they are turning us into villains, such as using our information as a weapon. I don't know how many people have seen the movie Student. That movie is about a student who is trying to become a lawyer, and he used all his knowledge, all his information to get grades by hook or crook. So he turned his information into a negative, which was bad for the teachers or for his peers. Second, always take everybody into consideration. It's not your personal motive. They put you as a leader because they have faith on you, so always consider their inputs as well. Third and finally, don't abandon your team ever. They believe in you. If the team loses, you lose as well. I have a great personal story about this. When I was in high school, I was in swimming team, as I told in the last presentation. So there was a big competition on our way, and one of our seniors, she took the responsibility, and she's like, I'm gonna train you for this competition. It was great. We were very excited because she was great. She's gonna teach us new techniques, and we could win the competition. But eventually, in between, we got to know that she has to leave because she got scholarship from a university. So personal success came in between. However, being a good leader, she gave a full week's notice, and she had a time to transition all her duties to the other person, and everything went smoothly, and we were able to win. So I learned 3 lessons from this story. First, take responsibilities which you can manage. Do not take extra work which you won't be able to complete in time. Second, communicate effectively with your team members. Do not be afraid. Whatever risks are, just tell them. They're gonna appreciate, and all the people come together, they might come with a great solution which you cannot think. Lastly, consider risk and always have alternative solutions. So she had the alternative solution to choose the other person to teach us the new tactics to win. I would like to pass it on to Asia to give a little bit of introduction about the video we have for you, if you like it.
So we're gonna watch a video now. Who has seen the movie called Mystery Men? Anybody? You have? Okay, because I hadn't before this video we chose. So we're gonna watch a video from Mystery Men, and I want you guys to pay special attention to the shoveler. The shoveler is played by William Macy. So have you guys seen, what's that show he plays in? Shameless. Have you guys seen Shameless? He's the main character, the dad. So pay attention to what he's saying and what he's saying to his team to inspire them.
Saints, what in heaven's name do we do?
Sometimes the true hero is the one with the courage to run away.
I like the way this man thinks.
Let's run.
We can't run.
Oh, yes, it's been established that we can run.
This is egg salad. It's loaded with cholesterol. The wife won't even let me touch it. Hardly seems to matter now, as chances are we're already dead. Amazing is gone. There's no use waiting for the cavalry, because as of this moment, the cavalry is us.
Oh, yeah, but I don't want to get fraculated.
Psycho.
Still get fraculated.
This is our fight, whether we like it or not. Just we few. We're not your classic superheroes. We're not the favorites. We're the other guys. We're the guys nobody ever bets on. But I'll tell you what I think. I think you and that ball of yours have an appointment that you've got to keep. Invisible Boy, I think it's time you were seen. Sphinx, you have trained us well. And Dr. Heller, you might just have given us the edge we need. And Spleen, I don't want to stand behind you, but I'll fight beside you with pride. Jeff, you've got a rare and beautiful gift. The city needs you tonight. And Roy, in all the years I've known you, I've never seen you walk away from a fight. Well, you lifted a city bus once, man. I think you've got what it takes to handle Casanova. We're all in over our heads, and we know it. But if we take on this fight, those of us who survive it will forever after show our scars with pride and say, that's right, I was there. I fought the good fight. So what do you say? Do we all gather together and go kick some Casanova butt? Or do I eat this sandwich?
I say, what the fork? Let's do it.
Okay, so after watching that video, what did he do to inspire his team? What are some things he did? Yeah.
He told them about their skills.
Exactly. So he went around and told each person how they were going to be valuable to the team. Okay. He also made them think of things a little bit more positively. He said we may be in over our heads, but we can do it. So that's what a leader is all about. It's about making your team feel valuable, inspiring them, and also making sure that they have a positive outlook on the situation. So now it's time for you guys to save the day. So I want you guys to go ahead and flip over your activity for Save the Day. And if you guys look at it, it has 5 different situations that ask you how will you save the day. So I want you guys to get in your groups, maybe groups of 3 within your presentation groups, and go ahead and fill out these situations. As you can see on the side, it does tell you the recommendation that we gave you. That's how it relates to the question. So think about what Iron Man said for the first one. Think about what Captain America said for the second one, and so on. Are there any questions before we get started? No? Okay, you guys have about 5 to 10 minutes. I'll leave this time to you.
Group members are not familiar with the topic.
Now you're trying to be
Inspire your team.